cute? Isn't it cute? I love a tiny little pineapple. I see something else cute. Hey, Pumpkin, how you doing? You're not gonna run? Oh, this is rare. Actually coming up for some attention, Pumpkin? I still see you. Pumpkin, where'd you go? Come on, bite. Come on, Pumpkin. You're not gonna come up? No, nothing? All right, that's enough of that. Hey, what's up, garden friends? Jeff here. It's a video. Hope you're doing well. I'm great. Hanging out inside. Nice, gloomy day. Good day to do a garden tour. The lighting's perfect. Just wrapped up my nephew's birthday party the other day, hence all the decorations. We'll be seeing a lot more of that outside. This garden tour ended up being very long. A lot has happened. A lot's changed between May and June. So there was a lot of talking. Well over 2 hours of talking. So I'm making a new intro and you're just gonna jump right into the first half of this video. I said to split this into two, so you get about an hour of garden tour here, and then after this hour ends, we'll do the rest of it. Should be out, I don't know, Saturday. The video after this one. What you doing? You watching your fish? You have a good time with your fish? Does your fish? You like your fish? Oh, he loves his fish. So much fun watching the fish. Hey, what's up, garden friends? Jeff here. So we hope you're doing well. I'm great. It's time for a garden tour. There's a lot to talk about. Not really. It's not that complicated. Had a birthday party for my nephew. His first birthday was just the other day. There were a lot of people out here, hence the balloons. Is that Wonder the Sea? That is the theme. There's themes, apparently. I don't know. I just hosted and decorated. Did as I was told. I came out here and I was ready to start picking up, and I was like, you know, maybe I should just go ahead and just do the garden tour before I pick up. I could put away the trash can, so I think I could at least do that. Be one of the tidiest garden tours we've ever had out here. Everything is so clean right now, but there's little garbage sitting on the patio. Okay. Last one. You know, my main motivation for even doing the tour right now is that I need to get the hose out to fill the fountain up. And I was like, well, once the hose is out, it's out. How much I detest rolling the hose back up. I'd rather go ahead and film a garden tour before actually getting the hose out, so I don't have to roll it back up for a garden tour, which I never do. There's balloons everywhere because, you know, party. I like to let them deflate and sink, and then I put a little straw in them, squeeze the air out, that way they can be reused. So, I don't know, it's been 2 days. They're still floating. Most of them are floating, not all of them. The garden looking pretty dang good. A lot has changed since the last garden tour, and I mean a lot. Prior, back in May, there were still a lot of projects going on. There were plants scattered all about. It was really a game of Tetris out here. This was full of plants. Oh, probably going to be doing some picking up in the meantime too, because that party was Saturday. Today is Monday, and I spent the entirety of Sunday just doing nothing in the house. I was pretty tired. It was also a nice rainy day. I didn't do nothing. I cleaned and did things in the house, but I haven't really been out here very much since the party, hence some of the mess. Yeah, all of the edges on the patio, so this gravel bed here, this gravel bed right here, all the way through, all the way around, that all got trenched out, refilled with fresh gravel. These are all drains for the backyard. The drainage in this backyard is complex. Talk about it all the time. All these houses, all of them drain down here. There's a sewer right there. It's a drain, a big basin that I have drains that connect to also, and they all flow underneath this patio to a storm sewer down at the other end of the property. Hence all of the drains and the need for all the gravel and the edging. And it is one of my favorite things to come out here and get these trenched out and filled up with fresh gravel. I think it just makes things look so nice. Oh, pardon the pink flamingos. And I think they're fun, but they're not going to stay. Maybe for another week. Those aren't staying either. There's been so many things planted too. I don't know where to begin. The yard is very different from the last garden tour. If you watch the vlogs, then you're up to date, but some people only tune in for the garden tours. Well, for starters, over here, did all of this, just planted up a whole bunch of tropicals in here. It's the Chinese fan palm. These have potential to come back every year. They'll die down to the ground. I am in St. Louis, which is zone 7A, but really 6B. But we'll go with 7A because that's what technically listed as now. The Chinese fan palms, they can't take too much cold, right? But mulch them really heavily, and they'll usually resprout for you, but not until like mid-June, not until things are really warm. So I don't always bother with that. But I planted it there thinking, okay, well, I'll dump a bag of mulch on it. If it comes back next year, great. If not, It's okay. I have a variegated sea hibiscus that's not planted, it's just faux potted down in here. So a few weeks ago when I did all of this, it was bugging me how much you could see all the containers and everything, but I just had to remind myself to just give it some time and things would fill out. You wouldn't be able to see all that. And finally to that point, the alpinia that I popped down here, that's filled out, so you can't see its container. You can't see the container for this lovely hibiscus anymore. Hilo Beauty, caladium or colocasia down here. Done a nice amount of growing. I'm not sure how much I love this combination right here, but I'm going with it because it's just where they are and I'm not moving them at this point. That's my explanation. Popped a coconut in here. It's potted. It's not actually in the ground. I should probably mention that because people do get confused sometimes. If it's in a container, it goes inside or it goes to the greenhouse. I'm talking about the tropicals, not the hydrangeas. But if it's actually planted in the ground, then they stay out here for the winter time. So things like this Adenidia, that's in a pot. It might look like it's in the landscape, but it's not. Same thing with this Alexander. It is in a pot. I put those sweet potato vines in there to help cover up the container. And they are doing a very, very good job of that. Really nice job. Those have just taken off in the last several days. I also put a little variegated Petunia in here, but I don't think it stands a chance with these sweet potato vines in there. But I'll try and keep them swept to the side so we can do some growing. Lots of caladiums. So many caladiums. Look at all there's so much color. So much. These big guys, these are called summer pinks. They get about 3 feet tall. They're one of the biggest caladiums that you can get. Very fast growers. That's just like, I don't know, 2 weeks of growth. I just popped all those in the ground about 2.5 weeks ago. So I have the summer pinks in the background with the Arons. I put those together thinking they would jive well. Aron is just a green caladium. You can see it right there behind that pink flamingo. Green with the white center. And they traditionally can get very large, but they're not, it's not comparable. The summer pinks, the Arons, I thought they would all go together, but not so much. You can see there's another summer pink in here with another Aron. And this one's got some better size on it, but it's still, I don't think they're going to play well together. And that's okay. I also have some Festivias in here and Pink Illusion. I think that's Pink Illusion. I think that's Festivia, but I'm not positive. Also popped some Aphelandra in here. Not Aphelandra, some Justicia in here. There were 2 of them. There were 2. Where'd the other one go? Oh, it's in here. It got eaten by the caladium. Okay. So the caladiums, they just took off. They took off and they are devouring everything, which I'm not mad about. That's okay. They can do that. We're still early in the year, so if they're growing this much already, then that's a good thing. Are you climbing up my alocasia? Sweet potato vine, do you see that? Wait, wrapped around the stem there? I'm not going to do that. This is a golden dragon alocasia, and it is finally taken to its new location. It just did the thing alocasias do. I planted it there, and it just started to drop some leaves. It turned yellow and get really mad. But gave it some root stimulator when I planted it up, so I just knew, like, give it some time. Once the heat rolls in, which it did a couple of weeks ago, they would take off, and so that's its newest leaf. Get nice and big, good size on it. So these have the veinage that you get with a lutea. This will turn nice and gold the more sun it gets as the leaves age, and it has a much longer leaf on it with a heavy sinus and these really fun ripples on the side. I have some luteas that I'll show you in a bit and try and just take it in and remember what the golden dragon looks like compared to the lutea. Similar but different. I planted up a whole bunch of calla lilies in here, just assorted bulbs. Really, it was anything particular. I didn't find a variety that I was in love with. And they're pretty puny, which I suppose is to be expected with the calla lilies, right? They need a few years to bulk up, but they're in there, they're doing their thing. Where I live, sometimes they're perennial, sometimes they're not. You really just have to find the right spot for them. They're surprisingly cold hardy. I suggest if you are in zone 6, give calla lilies a try. Just make sure they have good drainage. You mulch them during the winter, and find your good spots. Find your microclimates. Know where the snow melts first in your garden. That's usually a warm location. And the callas would normally do okay, but they need some mulch. The Ruby Spice Clethra, look at how big. Oh, it's gotten so big. So this was planted in here, I don't know, 4 years ago, and it hasn't done much during that time up until, well, really this year, and it's filled out nicely, very nicely. We had a nice long cool spring. It wasn't chilly, wasn't hot, it was just cool. perfect temperatures for flowering. My Ruby Spice, I didn't get a good flush out of it last year because we went from mild to just hot and dry. We had a very dry spring and summer last year, but we've had a nice wet, I don't want to say wet, but I'm going to say the M word, people freak out about that. It's been moist. It was moist. And it's appreciating that it's covered in blooms. Pollinators are going to be really happy about that. I'm excited. You know, after 3 or 4 years, you get your perennials to finally do something nice. Get to see some color in there. In here, I have filled this bed with impatiens. They go from here, right around here, all the way over, all the way through, and then up onto that hill. I do it every year. It's just such a quick and easy way to get color out here. I'll be pulling weeds as we go too when I see them. Weeds happen. I also dotted in a whole bunch of different sedums. They sell them as the steppables. Wow, that was an obnoxious zoom, sorry. Didn't know that's how that would pan out when I hit the button. They'll fill in this area. The soil over here is very sandy, so it's good to have succulents in there. They can handle the moisture as long as things are nice and sandy. Same thing with these echeverias. Not perennial. I just popped them in there because I liked the way they looked. I love the flowers. Turbo, could we be careful there with those flowers? Aren't they beautiful? It's hard not to love the flowers on an echeveria. There's just so much freaking color on there, and the pollinators love them, and they're really adjusting well to the spot. This one actually might want some more sun. It seems to be stretching and leaning. It's going out that way. So within the impatiens, I deviated because I realized that I was moving on before I finished up over there. Within the impatiens, I also dotted in some perennials. So I have some cat's pajama nepeta, cat's pajamas, which is, I think, my favorite of the nepetas because the flowers on them go all the way from the top all the way down. Very floriferous, and I love that about them. And they're perennial. The pollinators are enjoying them. This one is doing really well. I bought a whole bunch. I bought one big nice one and then a whole bunch of smaller ones and dotted them around the garden. I do that sometimes when I'm trying a different plant in the backyard, plant that I know maybe won't be that happy with my situation. My situation being that the backyard doesn't get a ton of sun once we move in towards about mid to late July. The sun goes lower in the sky and all these trees up on the hill start to shade things out. So nepetas and sages, and there are a lot of plants, coneflowers, that just don't thrive back here at that point. But from spring to that point, they'll do really well. So I dotted them around. So there's one in here. There was another one over here that I thought I had planted back far enough, but I did not. The impatiens ate it. I need to get in there, find it, and lift it, and move that one out. And then there's some over there up on the hill. It's gonna be one of those things we have to give it a few years and see how they do. But I'm really hopeful that they will do well so I can add a whole bunch of them into this area because they're just such easy plants. They just flower and flower and flower, and I like the purple. They have nice color on them, and again, it really just brings the pollinators over. I'm hopeful that all this color will help draw in the pollinators. I know they don't necessarily go nuts on the impatiens, although I see butterflies on the impatiens fairly often. But between that and then the Ruby Spice Clethra and the Nepeta over here, I really just want like a beacon to just draw the bees and butterflies and everything into this area. And the hummingbirds, they enjoy the color out here too. It helps draw them in, and they can go feed on the honeysuckles and some of the more tubular type flowers. There's a Washingtonia in here. It's got potted up in a video that I actually filmed several weeks ago, but it just came out, I believe, a week ago. Morning glory vines. These things pop up everywhere out here. It's doing fine there. I should probably find a better spot for it. That's just where it's ended up for now. The Alocasia stingray. Awesome plant. Really great plant. I just love these. I was glad that I was able to find them for a reasonable price this year. When I got it in that plant haul, I talked about how they went from being a plant that nobody wanted and stores were always clearancing out to being just ridiculously overpriced when the plant craze happened back in 2020. So I was glad that I was able to find one this year for, I think it was like $12 or $14, which is how much these should cost in a small pot. And that's great. 'Cause this will, by the end of the season, be about this tall with these fun sort of, I mean, they're really just misshapen leaves, but I think they're fun. I enjoy them. I also have other plants that are being eaten in here. They're planted further back. I don't know if they're going to work in this spot or not. I need to stake them up. These are the incredible stormproof hydrangeas that are supposed to have really sturdy stems to stand up to storms. But both of mine are flopped over. They were flopped over when I got them. So I could blame that on location, not having quite enough sun, but I think that the sun is pretty dang good here for the hydrangeas. If the banana is doing well, then that should be plenty enough for the Incredibles. And the same thing with this Washingtonia over there. So, you know, it's a perennial. Just have to give that a few years, see what they do. But my hope was to have a nice mound of those big white flowers right here. And then I'd be putting less impatiens in here every year. Get more perennials in the ground. Time will tell. Right behind them. Oh, look at the gingers. Huh. Well, there was a combination of white feather, which is this back here. This Zingiber myoga. White feather has a white variegation. Sometimes some green mixed in with that variegation. Ooh, that's a nice one. That's a beautiful leaf. On the outside of the leaf, there's another one called Dancing Crane or Dancing Feather. Doesn't grow quite as vigorously, and the variegation is more concentrated in the center of the leaf there. I also have Silver Arrow in here, but my Silver Arrows really just aren't given much variegation. It's very, very subtle, almost to the point where I'm wondering if my Silver Arrows that are over here just completely have reverted, or if it's just very subtle. I got this from Plant Delights, and I remember the listing saying that it can take them a few years to show their variegation. We're in year 4 now with these guys, so I don't know. I think there might be some reversion, and that's okay. I think they're beautiful plants with or without the variegation. I have another cluster of Silver Arrows that are more behind me. I'll be sure to show those so you can see a difference. So I think the other ones have much better variegation on them. As we move down, I popped in a Weigela here. It's a Sonic Bloom Pure Pink. This one, it just goes nuts. Flowers from the tips all the way down, and it's been a really nice, vigorous grower. However, this was also a plant where I was thinking maybe not the best idea for this area because I wasn't sure about the sunlight, but we're just going to have to wait and see. I just want some more color over here, and it was a really good price, so I said, let's just stick it in the ground and see what happens. I have the banana in here more as a signal plant, and I just love bananas. I have bananas spotted all over the place. Planted a lot of new bananas this year. I'll try to remember to talk about. You can look at a banana and get a really good idea of your lighting. So when you, the leaf spacing, and this will vary from species to species, so it's not always the same thing from plant to plant, but typically, your Orinoco's and Bajus and just most of the Cavendish bananas, your common type bananas, if they're getting a lot of sun, then the spacing between the actual leaves here is going to be much closer together. If they're not getting a lot of light, then they stretch more, right? So you have the illusion of faster growth when really they're just stretching, where you get more of a lanky plant. Doesn't mean the plant's necessarily unhappy. Think about it in the wild, the bananas, they fall to the ground oftentimes in heavily wooded areas, and it takes a while for those mother plants to die back sometimes, and they're surrounded by all the other plants that have been growing up from the main stem. They do have to do some stretching and reaching to get to a good height oftentimes. It's really only when you have them out in the open that you get that nice, compact, thick trunk and girthiness, again, depending on the species. But I can look at this banana and go, okay, so there's enough sun here for the banana. It's growing, it's not unhealthy, but it's much more of a part sun situation. I can tell that based on the spacing of the leaves, and just knowing that this banana, this is Sycamensis, they tend to go ahead and hold their leaves close together when they are getting a lot of sun, and they'll have really thick trunks on them, whereas this one's going to be more spindly, and I'm okay with that. I just think they're beautiful bananas. See that they have the variegation on them? The only cold hardy banana with that red variegation. The variegation is going to vary. There's lots of different types of Sycamensis. I think that they're calling this one like Ever Red. That's what it is, Ever Red. The new trendy thing, which I think is smart marketing wise. Sycamensis, not new, but I'm seeing it in nurseries everywhere this year being sold as Mimosa Ever Red. Ever Red is the variegated, not all Sycamensis are variegated, so it's the variegated form of those Sycamenses bananas. Calling them Ever Red, I think that that's just going to stick with people better. But the only problem is I haven't seen any of them labeled as cold hardy. Come on, growers, what are you doing? You're going to sell more if you label them as cold hardy. They can take so much cold. I'd say they're just a few degrees less cold tolerant as the Bajus are, which is going to be your most cold tolerant of the really big type of Mimosa. Yeah, I'm really happy with how it's growing. The variegation will be more intense typically with the more light that they have. I don't really care if this has the variegation on it. I just think they're really nice looking bananas in general. I feel like I talked about the banana for too long. Did I make it weird? I'm sorry. But I had to, because one, the banana's new, and this is a garden tour, and because I was talking about that signal plant to let me know what's going on light-wise. So the Sonic Bloom Weigelia, they do like a lot of sun. Maybe it won't do great here, but I'm going to give it a few years and we will see what happens with it. Moving further down, no, let's go back here. I also planted a Florida Sunshine Elysium, and I love it. I love that color on there. I'm just hopeful that it will get larger and fill in that space nicely. The gingers, they just do their thing. They're originally planted in a row at the top of this hill right here, and then they just go wherever, and I'm fine with that. I think it's kind of nice to just let things naturalize in place, and it looks good, I think, having that gingerbread right behind the Elysium. The empty pot, I meant to throw something in there and just never got around to it, but I can do that at another time. More gingerbreads back here, right next to the weed. Lots of weeds. And right here, this is always a spot that I get pretty excited about. Go ahead and pull some of these up so you can see what I'm talking about better. The impatiens that are down there, those are volunteers. So the impatiens reseed. So I don't really need to replant impatiens every year, but I do because I want a faster impact. But they are surrounding this beautiful hosta. It's the Time Traveler hosta, who's getting a lot more sun than it ever has, and I don't know if it likes that. I'm thinking that maybe it doesn't, but it's also flowering for the first time ever. Maybe it does like it because it's got the flowers on it. These are a very slow growing hosta. They stay small and they have that beautiful wisp of variegation right in the center of the leaf, but typically the leaves are more green than this. They're still chartreuse, but not that chartreuse. Behind them, begonia grandis. These are a perennial type begonia. They're just starting to flower, so they are happy for the first time in a long time. So this area over here used to be much more shaded. This big sugar maple here had to have a major prune. It wasn't a huge prune. With the maples, you don't want to prune off anything that's, I think, over like a 8 inch caliper, because that will eventually lead to death on the plant. But it has a split in it, and so a tree company came in and tidied it up to hold it more together so we don't have to worry about the storms pulling it apart, and hopefully it'll grow back together. But that is allowed in temporarily for a few more years. A lot more sun into this area. Hence why the gingers are growing more bountifully than they used to. I was going to move them this year because I knew there wasn't quite enough light for them, but then things opened up and, well, it changed things. So I popped some other things in here that I will have to move in a few years probably, or the tree will have to go, which is, it's potentially a possibility. It was a last-ditch effort to save this tree, giving it that prune. It has tons of problems. And I'm not afraid to get rid of a tree. I know people get very upset about it, but if a tree is diseased, I like to get rid of them as fast as possible because there are lots of other trees that I would like to protect, right? I don't want to leave a diseased tree laying around. It can cause lots of issues with the other plants. But this is the last shot. So I'm going to give that a few more years and hope that it comes back better. And in the meantime, enjoying all the light that's letting into this area. I have some of my palms and just houseplants set back here. I can see I need to pick that one up. These are the Veitchii. I got these bare-rooted, or field dug, I should say, last year, and overwintered them in the grow space, and they are doing just great. Look at their little trunks. Those are on my repot list. I have 2 of those. I have a repot list I'm working on. I'll probably add to it during this video. The viburnum right here, that's new. It's a leather leaf, which is just one of my favorites. It's still adjusting. It's only been in the ground for a few weeks now. But look at the foliage on the leather leaves. They have such neat texture. Look at those trichomes. Isn't that cool? So much fuzziness in there. They're fun to play with. I don't know if the plant appreciates it, but they are fun to play with. Evergreen-ish. If we have a really bad winter, they'll drop their foliage, but they're nice and hardy. In front of those, woo la la hosta. I put one on each side of this pathway here, and then I realized they were too close together, so then I had to scoot that one back, which set that one back some more. But you know, with the hosta, generally you plant them. They do a little bit the first year, but it's really not until the second, third, well, perennial stuff, right? It takes them a few years to really take off, but I am just going to love that big mound of color over here in this space. Underneath that, I planted a whole bunch of lamium. I have a golden St. John's wort and, oh, a pool toy. It's made its way over here into the drain. I can't remember the name on the St. John's wort. Did I save the tag? Is that what this is, or is it just garbage? It is the, well, I'll just get in there on it. Brigadoon? Is that what that says? Brigadoon St. John's wort? Not one you grow for flowering, but it has really nice color to it. And I just like the way it looked. I was thinking like, oh, that'll be fun coming over this big hole where the drain is. naturalizes some. You can see there's a lot of grass and wild strawberries. There's all kinds of just creepers and things that typically I would weed out, but I've just sort of been letting everything do its thing this year and hoping that all of my new ground covers will fill in and help choke some of those things out. So I have gallium, sweet woodruff in here, and then that lamium. I mean, these things I just have to pull, right? I can't expect the ground covers to pull all those things out, or to swallow them up, I should say. But I'm just hopeful that in time that'll be nice and have a living mulch situation going on there. I have a new plant. Well, it's new-ish. Got it last winter. Pollinators trifoliata, the flying dragon, potted up back there. I think that's a really nice spot. I like the way that looks right there. Does that look nice? Can you see it? I can't really see my screen that well. The sun's very odd today. Hopefully everything is visible. Next to it, I have a Fargacia bamboo planted. I put one of those right here. I put another one back over here in this corner. It's still small, so it's harder to see. Then back here in that corner, which has been the hardest corner to get planted up. I think this was done for the last garden tour, but I have one back there in that corner. So these are a clumping bamboo. In time, maybe 10 feet, but it's going to take them a while. But they will fairly quickly go about 3 to 5 feet around. They have a really dramatic arching habit. So they'll come up and arch way over, which I think is going to look awesome. Back there in that corner, it took forever to get that hole dug. There are very large roots and the soil was extremely compact. It took me days to get that hole dug. So I was happy to finally have that dug. A long time ago, I had a beautiful hardy sugarcane back there. I don't remember what, it was a purple one. I can't remember the name of it. It was from Plant Delights. I'm talking a long time ago. And it thrived. It was beautiful. But then the maple tree grew and then it wasn't very happy. And I think that these are a good compromise when you want larger things that are like an ornamental grass, but you don't necessarily have the sun for a larger ornamental grass. Typically, you got to go with a carex or something that, you know, stays under usually no more than 3 feet for the shade. But these over time, they'll add a lot of nice texture, be semi-evergreen. That's the hope. And I, next to it, have added another Florida Sunshine Alyssium. This one's doing the best. I planted 3. This one's doing really, really well there. Unfortunately, I planted it too close to this skip whorl, but the skip whorl, well, it's not very happy. I'm hoping it's going to do a good amount of rebounding this year because it's getting some more sunlight. But considering they're supposedly hardy to zone 5, they never come out of winter very well for me. Because of that, I have a backup hedge planted back here. I don't think I really talk about in the garden tours all that often, but a couple of years ago, I started popping yews into the ground back here. And I'm just thinking that what the plan is that someday we'll have a winter bad enough. Look how bad that one is. I need to come in and prune that up. But there will be another winter. It's going to happen that takes out this laurel hedge, and then hopefully these yews, once they're, you know, double this height, I'm not going to be bummed about the laurels being gone. I'll just go, okay, that's all right, because I have backup hedge. I mean, it'll be a bummer, and I'll be sad, but also they're a lot of work. I have to bag them and wrap them in lights and everything during the winter time. This spot is just very exposed. It's bermed, right? This is a berm because all this water from everywhere up there comes rushing down here. So this berm is more of a levee to keep everything from washing out and into the backyard. So I think that does play a big role in their winter hardiness. Yeah, the yews though, I don't think I had to replace any of them this year. Last year I had to pop in a couple of new ones. Last year was their second year in the ground, and so that was their first winter. And the first winter I did lose maybe 3, something like that. The Petunias that are growing in here, I know it looks like they're smothering everything. However, come mid-July, these thin out just naturally on their own. The heat kicks in and they go, blech, they just wilt down. And that opens things back up for the yews. It hasn't been an issue so far, so I just let them do their thing. But there are some occasions, like back here, where I think it would be smart to probably thin it out some more. So this guy's getting enough water. You can see how much smaller that one is. And this one over here could use some more openness. That's something I need to pay attention to. So this is an area I haven't done much with this year. I just let the Petunias and those yews do their thing. It's nice about a yew. They're just great. They do their own thing. These are, I do this every time. They're either Hillii or Hicksii. One will go about 8 to 10 feet tall and only about 3 feet wide. The other one will go like 12 feet tall and a little bit wider. So they're nice and tall and they hedge up very nicely. They can go sun or shade. They can be invasive in certain areas, not my area, but that's something to pay attention to if you would like to plant them. And toxic. There are some areas where deer don't know not to eat them, and it can kill them. So there's some drawbacks. You need to do your research before you plant them up. I added in some new laurels this year to this space right. Oh, I was going to show the other viburnum. We'll get back to the laurels. I don't like to come back here all that often. I need to check on this guy. Yeah, okay. So I can see I need to add a new drip head back here. This is a new addition. It's another leather leaf, but I've been having a lot of trouble getting water back here to it. So I have a drip that runs through here. I'm going to bring a head over to that one. Idea being that, you know, in a few weeks when the Peticides start to die down, which they will, that will mean the rest of the year I can see a nice big globe of these really pretty evergreen leaves here. So that's new, and it'll be great during the winter and the, like, I don't know, 8 months out of the year that area is more open and the Peticides aren't as big. The new laurels. Aren't they pretty? These are cherry laurels, volcano. I really like them. One, they were just a really nice size. Really great size. The new growth on these, is it on any of them? Well, kind of. You can see it over here. New growth comes out this more of a reddish color. The more sun you have, the more of that red you'll see on them. There's all kinds of junk on here. You can see there's just bird poop and junk everywhere because the mimosas in full bloom. The birds are having a great time up there. But I put these in these containers knowing that these skip laurels don't do great out here over the winter time. So why not add some other laurels into containers that probably won't do well either? I wanted some evergreens, so that's why they're there. I have those impatiens, as I mentioned, planted all the way through. So we left off right around over there. They're coming all the way through here. I need to pull out the Peticides that are growing in the front of them. But I don't know, I don't really want to make too much of a mess. I would probably do this when I have my snips out. It just looks better when I don't have them in the front. I let them grow behind everything, but not this much in the front. Look at that. It's amazing how these things just show up, right? I mean, well, I guess not really. They have to start out down below and you don't see them. They got to pop up before you can pull them, right? And it's easier to pull them when they get bigger. So there's that. I do it on purpose. I let them get big on purpose because that makes it easier to pull them. Since I have this swoop of the impatiens coming through here, I went ahead and I added some more because I bought too many up here into this spot over there on that side of the path. Then I brought them up into these containers and added, sorry, I don't know, he's being grumpy, surefire begonias into each one of these. I don't know if there's enough sun over here for the surefires, but we will find out. It just looks a lot nicer having those two clusters up there. Originally, I just stopped the impatiens right here, and that was it. And then about 2 weeks ago is when I came in and I added in this cluster, a swoop of them down here in front of that beautiful blue pot. Love that pot. Vietnamese pottery. It's so nice. Then I added some more up here. Just went with what I had left, put them up here, and then I have some more that I dotted and just dropped them into the garden on the other side where I don't think they're getting enough water. I don't know how they're going to do over there. They're under a very thirsty maple tree. Down here, I have some acanthus mollis that is just now coming up. Well, maybe, you know, a couple of weeks ago, started to come up. So I just don't think they're going to do great out here. It's the oak leaf acanthus. I bought a whole bunch of them last year and did what I was talking about with the nepeta, and I just put them in different spots all around the garden to just see where they would do their absolute best. And they didn't break dormancy until like June 10th. That's just too late. I don't think that's going to work out, but I'm not going to get rid of them. I'll let them do their thing, but they're not going to get any special attention. I don't have time for all that. They just need to grow and do well. I went inside for a very, very short amount of time just to grab his collar. I had a timer set to let me know when his collar would be done being washed. Wanted to make sure to get it for him. Worried I was forget, and within that 45 seconds, came out and he was sopping wet. He's loving life. And then I recorded another 10 minutes of footage and didn't have my mic on. Cool. So I think where I left off was down here. Lots of fun stuff going on with the ground covers and those impatiens, right? I didn't need to plant this many impatiens, I don't think, but I'm glad that I did. They will reseed themselves when you have this many planted. You can see all of these in the front. So from like right here to there, those are all ones that just seeded themselves in. I only did a row of 2 all the way through this area and down around. Everything else, they've just naturalized in that way. Look at these. Aren't these amazing? amazing. Stuttered there. Really awesome caladiums. These are those summer pinks I was talking about down over there. They are a very large, beastly caladium. Look at that leaf. Monsters. They're so big. I have a frog in my throat. Should probably iron that out. Really big, beautiful caladium. So I planted 4 in here. I thought I did, but I only have 3 that came up. They've only been up for about 10 days at this point. I have some more that I think are in a container somewhere. If not, I could reach back and grab one of those and pop it in here, because I think that those look just awesome behind those impatiens, don't they? Depending on whether or not you can even see anything. I cannot see my screen. The lighting is just awful today. It's a good backdrop. These really big leaves. Again, huge. And this is what they've just put up from the ground. This is what came up from that little corm that's down there, is this. So I have the entire summer for those to grow and fill out. Imagine, if I lived in like zone 8 or something like that, where you can plant your caladiums in, I don't know, April, March, something. I don't know when y'all do it down there. These would already be huge. I cannot wait to see what these look like come the end of summer, with that beautiful backdrop of the glossy green foliage from the skip laurels, which have done a good amount of growing this year. I do think they're very much appreciating the extra light they're getting from that tree trim up above. They've put out, I don't even know, probably 18 inches of new growth. You can see this alone is from this month. This is all new. That's probably a foot, and they had a flush of growth. It's probably about a 6-inch, something like that, amount of growth that came out of them in the earlier springtime. They're loving life. I love this area. There's so much color, and I like the flow, the way things move in and pop out and swirl around. It kind of carries you. It makes you want to walk around and look at everything. Potted up this coconut. This was in a metal cooler, and the bottom of it rusted out. So it's just in this as a catch pot. It's actually in a plastic nursery container, and it was done with its coconut, popped up its coconut, but I still set it in there. So I think it looks cute. Top dress it with some sand that now has algae on it. Oh, those fish are done. I can take the air out of those. This is new. Popped this together in a video, I don't know, a few weeks ago. It's an Ensep Morelia, one of the red bananas. Oh, hey, bud. Hey, bud, how you doing? I know, not everybody likes the grasshoppers. I think they're cool. If they're a little bit shy. Where'd he go? Easily distracted. Threw this in this container with some extra annuals that I had. There's the Neon Rose Sun Patient, and then some Salvia in the back. Playing the blues, I think. Big one that'll fill out all the way across, and then the white Vista, Snow White Vista Petunia, and some lemon lime Plectantherus. Yes, that's in here. I'm pretty sure that's what this is. Helichrysum, no, it's the Plectantherus. Nice trailer is what I was going to say. And then I have a coleus in the background just because I had it. So I popped that back there at Lime Time Coleus. This thing is really enjoying life in this container. It's doubled in size in the last 2 weeks. That should get huge. This is good lighting to get them to grow fast, because like I was saying with the Sycamensis banana over here, it's a good amount of morning light and then some afternoon shade. Then they get a little bit more light later in the afternoon, so they're reaching, but they're not leaning. That's the sweet spot to really get some size on them. Not the girth, but it'll get them up nice and tall. Same thing. I skipped right over this one. How? How did I skip right over this one? This one's just big and beautiful. Love and life. Absolutely huge. Throwing out new leaves left and right. It's just a happy banana. There's not much else to say about it. All the bananas are very happy this year. Potted up some of this dune grass in the early spring. Moved it down here. I think that looks nice. It's a nice soft color. Thai Constellation. Don't want to skip over that guy. I always forget about him. I'm not great about remembering to talk about the houseplants during the summertime. It's enjoying this location. Really enjoying it. See, it's got a new leaf up there. I can't see it, but you guys can. That's popping open. Another one right there. That thing is a beast. Huge. That thing has gotten so big. I want to talk about the hydrangea planters, but the lighting is really bad right now. I have another palm back here that doesn't get a ton of attention because it's just been so easy going. It doesn't like being moved outside, but it eventually adjusts to it. It's not the fastest grower. So these, I would say, they can come off at this point. Not much reason to keep them. They were slowly dying back as it put out a new frond. So, yeah, and there's another one coming up down there. These are the Chimaduria Tepe Helito. Oh, I wrote it down. I put it on a tag so I didn't have to say it anymore. And the tag, it's you can't read it. Well, it's a really great one. They've been sturdy. I've only had them for about a year at this point, or this is their second summer, I think. I'm not sure. Last year was their first summer. So I got them winter of 2023, right? They've done a good amount of growing. They're not the fastest of growers, but they stay nice and small. They get a really cute little trunk on them. You can see if I would zoom in some. Really cute. And they flower frequently. They put out an inflorescence that smells wonderful. A very good low light palm that has not been fussy about the humidity. This container over here, I'm loving it. This is a Dracaena reflexa, one that I've had for many years. It was in desperate need of a repot. When I brought my houseplants out this year, I let the ones that needed to be repotted just sit out. So I was like, I'm not putting them away until they've been repotted, with the exception of, there are a couple, but for the most part, I got everything repotted. This was one, it needed it badly, and it's responding very well to the repot. It's only been about a month. Starting to see some signs of life in there. Typically, I like for these to get some more sun, but seeing as how it had the repot, I thought, you know what, just put it back here. We'll get morning sun and some afternoon shade. Some afternoon light comes through over here, but not very much. It seems to be loving life. I put all my pothos in a ring around the bottom of that container, and I love how that looks. It just instantly naturalized the spot, didn't it? This aged planter, giant urn. This thing is, it's big. It's big. It's about, I'd say, over 30 inches tall. It's about 30 inches wide at the top. Then you can see it next down. It's a beautiful planter. I really like it. Have a parlor palm back here that I've had for many, many years. And it is loving life. I need to top dress that. It could use some compost or something rich on top. I never show this guy. This is a rabbit's foot fern, and I have had it forever. Forever. I don't touch it. I do not ever touch this plant. It just moves around with my other house plants. It finds itself in the bottoms of other containers, and that's just where it lives for a year. Then I move it to another spot, and it does great. This year, I went ahead and stuck it in here with the mother and daughter croton. Just a really fun croton. Is that a neat one? The way the ends of the leaves come out and they put out the little spoons. Sometimes they're called spoon crotons. I think they're the same thing, but they might actually be two different crotons. I'm not positive. More acanthus back here. Looking great. This one's probably the most promising out of all of them. Another weed. I have some Radiance caladiums I just plopped in the ground. This is new. Also, this is a Rhode Island red Japanese maple. I believe had it for a long time, and I thought that the spot could use something. When you're walking through here, you have this 4-foot tall wall here. You may as well be able to look up into things, right? That's why I put this Amorphophallus right here. This one's called Leo Song, so it's a type of voodoo lily. Get that cleaned out. Leo Song is one of my favorites because look at the base of the leaf here. It's a nice white color with that speckling in there. There's a hint of pink to it, and I think that that's just the lighting right now. That's something I've never noticed before. These, well, they seem to like the spot. Sun, I'd say more part sun to shade. It really depends on your climate, but it's a plant where typically if it's just down in the garden, you just see it like this, which is cool looking. This entire thing is one leaf. That's not a stem with leaves. This is one leaf coming up from a bulb. And every now and then, every few years, these will put up a flower that I think this one goes 36 to 40 something inches tall on the flower. Just one big flower that comes up, smells awful, but really neat looking. And by having the voodoo lily in this spot, you can just look into it and really appreciate the shape that they have. They have such an awesome shape to them, don't they? I really like it. And this is just its first year's growth too. So this is going to get bigger. This will be, you know, not huge, but another probably foot or so taller, and it will span out even further, and it will spread. Not like wildfire, nothing like these, but it will put up more, and there'll be a little forest of these really neat leaves in here. Over time that will fill in, I think, really nice with that blue pot in the back and everything else. These are all annuals, and some May apples that are in here, some podophyllums mixed in with everything. The impatiens don't reseed up here quite as much as they do down over there. So maybe in the future I'll remember to get those planted up earlier. Those just got plopped in the ground with some of those others like 2 weeks ago. Orchids are doing nice. Maxillaria tenuifolia, it's the coconut orchid. Had this one forever. It's such a nice big plant. This thing, big, beastly. I give these away all the time with people who just like orchids and go, okay, here you go. Here you go. And you just snap them off and say, here you go. That's really just make sure it gets some water every couple of weeks. Put it in a pot with some bark, and they grow. They're fantastic. Speaking of orchids, I put together this centerpiece that was probably totally unnecessary, but I liked the way it looked for this spot. This spot, totally new. All this is new. The furniture's not new. I've had it for a long time. It sat in my driveway for a few years. I put a fresh coat of paint on it, threw a very cheap outdoor rug underneath it to tie together this spot with the cushions that are down over there, bring that blue together. And I've been using this area a lot. It's turned out to be a very nice place to hang out. Now that things have grown some more and I feel like there's more privacy back here, not a lot, but some. Getting the irrigation up here has helped get some of these viburnums. We have Pragen's viburnums back here and one over here. They didn't do anything, but I added irrigation last year and boom, things are filling out and just, it feels more calm over here. There's another reason I wanted to get things cleaned out the way I did. Getting everything out from the walls, just having a few plants over here and making sure everything looks more intentional instead of just scattered and chaotic. That's made this a nice, relaxing place to hang out, and it smells phenomenal because this thing is covered, the mimosa covered in flowers. I'll make sure to get a better shot of it later. It's been peaceful. It's a backdrop of the Japanese maple in that beautiful pot. I've added lighting down here to light all this up at nighttime. The trunks glow. It's not the most impressive as far as the foliage goes because mimosas close their leaves up at nighttime, but it's still very nice because the blue from the pot sparkles some. That's just happenstance. This was supposed to be up there and it fell down. It would look better if I got it back up. But yeah, this has become a very nice seating area. It's a whole entire new addition to the garden, hanging out over here in the shade. It is extremely messy. Mimosa trees are very, very, very messy trees. Yeah, isn't it nice? Got the table over here. This was all that was out here, which is fine. It's a cute little planter, but it's not enough. I had all these orchids that I got on sale at Lowe's, super cheap. I bought a ton of them. They were 10 bucks a pop. So I thought it would be nice to put this into a bowl down here. I drilled holes in the bottom and then packed them in with these larger, whatever these are, just help hold them in place. It's been nice. It's just a nice little seating area. I brought a fan over here. This is the fan that used to be down over there, but I got a new fan for that area, so I was able to bring this one over here. And that's really what has made this a better place to sit, because the mosquitoes used to be awful down here, which is one of the reasons I wanted to open everything up a lot more, dig out all that drainage so the water was moving through this area more efficiently, and then having a fan, it helps so much with the bugs. As long as that fan's going, you don't get many bites on you. And what a glorious view. Hopefully you can see it. The screen on here is not very bright, but the hydrangeas, they've just started to open up a few days ago. And I love the way they look with the backdrop of all the sun impatiens. And then you got that glossy green from the crinum lily and the darker foliage back there from the banana cannas. See that? It all looks so nice. Even with the pool equipment and the neon orange hose. It's become one of my favorite spots out here. And it was virtually free because I already had the table and the chairs, so I had to spray paint it. I already had the spray paint. I got a $20 rug from Walmart, and I already had the cushions, so all I had to do was really just spend a lot of time cleaning and reorganizing. It just needed to be done anyways. And it worked out very well for that party for my nephew because it was a pool party, so there were children everywhere in the pool. And that meant there was a place to sit down on the deep end. Because you want adults on each end. So I put most of this, all the seating, I put down over there on that end. In the past, this isn't really necessary for the garden tour, but in the past, I would spread tables around the whole patio. But I've learned that when you do that, you only end up with a couple of tables over here because things neck down. And then I feel like the people over here are secluded from everybody over there. So I just crammed everybody together down there. And I left this area for myself and my friends. We just sat right here, so there are people over here on the deep end for the majority of the party, and then there were adults everywhere with the kids. Pretty much every child had an adult in the pool with them, but I get uptight about pool parties and children, so it made it nice. There was a nice place to sit, and there was supervision on both ends of the pool there. The camera, it pulls things, and it pulls them and squishes them and disorients them to an extent. It's not a huge pool, but it's about 50 feet from end to end. So it's not a small one either. And this is about 9 feet deep in this end. So it's good to have a lot of people spread around when there's kids. Everybody keeping an eye on everything. And even better when there's a nice, comfortable, relaxing place to sit and to set your drinks and everything. And the fan. The fan's the most important part. Gotta have the fan. Something I am very excited for is to get to see from the other side of the patio and from the entry to the patio from the driveway in, I don't know, just probably a week's time. The way things look with these hydrangeas fully flushed out and the pink of the mimosa behind them, it's just going to be an explosion of color everywhere. On that note, this year I did so much perennial planting. Oh, gosh, they're so pretty. So nice. I added in more hydrangeas. So back here I have the berry white hydrangea right there. See it? So this one I think will go about 8 to 10 feet. It's a big one, so it'll fill in nice and tall right here. Did one on each side of the fence. I did that on each side of the fence so that you would have the effect when you come in of looking in and having just hydrangea, more hydrangeas. Obviously the palms, balloons won't be there. And then the beautiful backdrop of that mimosa tree. Doesn't that look so nice? Pardon the balloons. I think they're fun. I can see how they might annoy some people, but they're such a pain to get the air out of while they're still floating. I've got to let them have a few more days to go ahead and sink down. That'll make for an interesting thumbnail. Got fish flying up above everything. Do you see what I'm getting at? It's just going to be flowers. The berry white goes into a very deep magenta, nice big white cones on them, like these big panicles. They're shaped like cones that fade into a reddish pink. So have those flanking each side. You come in strawberry vanillas in these planters. Then moving even further back to keep pulling your eye back, there are hydrangeas that I've added along this wall over here. I really like having layers in the garden. It just sucks you right into everything. It pulls your eyes around and really helps people see detail when you have all those different layers. When everything's just flat, you don't see details because everything's flat, right? You tend to not look around and try and notice things. So the hydrangeas that are back here, there's a combination of some little lime punch. Pretty sure that's what these are, little lime punches. Nice and small, that won't get too much bigger than this. And then behind there, you can't really see it right now, but I planted a quick fire fab. So it'll be a quick fire fab that comes up above all of this. So have the hydrangea and then more hydrangea moving backwards with a, not new, but new-ish magnolia, K. Paris, right there. It's planted as a seedling, so it's got a ways to go. That'll add a nice glossy evergreen foliage. I think it's going to look awesome with those hydrangeas. And I'm getting ahead of myself though. We should talk about the Miami planters. Aren't they looking great? I filled these in with these Lasmachia, not Lasmachia. That is Fancifiller's Sunburst. They have just awesome foliage on them. They're one of my favorites. Quick, vigorous growers. I like the way they look with these containers against the blue. They lay tight to the container. That's something all about Lasmachias. They don't come out, they don't poof, they lay down nice and flat. They really hug the surface. And when they have the new growth, the little pieces that come out, it just looks awesome. One of my favorites, I put Cassandra in here on each one of these containers. And also some New Guinea impatiens, which, I don't know, they're not doing much. They never do for me. Neoregelia in the front. Freddie, I believe is the name on this one. I think has great color. Great color on that bromeliad. And some Acalpha in the center. These were really small when I planted them, so it's going to take them some time. But I would imagine in the next month or so, these will have filled out and have a whole bunch of color on them. One of my favorites. I love Acalpha. Canary wing begonia on each side. And there was a, okay, it's still in there. Variegated Fridex back here in the background on those. The one in this container is doing better. Yeah. So I overwintered these from a year prior, and I divided them up too, so I have some more spread around the garden. I'm hoping these will put on more Zeiss this year. That's the idea anyways, to have that nice splotch of variegation behind them. I should talk about the palms. Sometimes I forget to actually do that. I focus on all the underplantings and forget about the important part, which are the actual palm trees. These Adenidias have been growing so well over the last couple of years. They had to get a root prune to get put into these containers, but they bounced back from it just fine. This year I got this one put into a container that I can slide in and out of this blue pot. You can kind of see it, and there it is. I only had one of those though, So this one I'm still gonna have to pull and replant when it goes away for winter storage. The goal would be to get that one also potted up into one of these pots so I can just move them in and out and not have to repot them and then trim their roots to make them fit into these narrow pots every year. These pots are very narrow. They're tall and they're maybe 24 inches across, but considering that they're, I think, 3 feet high, if not taller than that, it's a narrow opening. Narrow opening at the top for the size, but the palms have been okay with it. They're growing really well. I would say it was just 3 years ago when the crown shaft, that's this part right here, when that was all the way down here. So these are getting some nice big open trunks on them. They threw a bit of a fit, not too bad from getting potted up into these. They've already bounced back, right? Have a leaf that I just pulled off of there. I always recommend when you pull one of these leaves off, it's the best time to check for critters because the mealybugs and other animals love hiding out inside of these crevices. Nice and clear. So nothing to worry about there. Have a monstera over here. This is an elbow that I need to get put up onto a trellis because it's just kind of up against this piece of fencing right here. Done tons of growing. And they grow like weeds. But there's not much to say about it because it's such an incredibly vigorous plant. But I know people like to look at them, so there it is. They get some squirts when they get moved out, and I don't worry about it because they grow so fast that I don't really care. Ooh, that's a nice one. That's a nice leaf. Yeah, so the Miami planters, they're looking great. Loved how they turned out this year. This is new. So this is a succulent planter that's full of cold hardy succulents and a few echeverias. Some of these echeverias are cold hardy. So these are the reef, I believe, reef pink, pink reef. Oh, coral reef. I saved the tag. Look at me. Coral reef aqua echeverias. Not cold hardy, but these right here are topsy-turvies, and they can take a good amount of cold. If you're in zone 7B, I would recommend giving these a try. A nice well-drained spot. If you have a crevice garden, then the topsy-turvy echeverias might do well for you. I don't think they'll do that well for me, but I figured we'll give them a shot mixed in here with all of the sempervivums and the various sedums that are in here. Yeah, so the idea is that this will eventually fill up with the hens and chicks and the various fun sedums that are in the front. Really fun ones. And these will not make it. I might lift them for the wintertime. We will see. I'm going to leave the topsy-turvies, though. See how they do. This will go to a sheltered spot where it'll be covered and protected from winter moisture. And I don't know, I just think it looks nice there. That's all there is to that. Just looks good. Back here, those are weeds. Handle that another time because that's too much to get into right now. More of the white feather alpinias. These were planted up just this year. Look at all the growth, right? So they are loving the amount of sun they're getting over here. So I should maybe move the others that I had planted down on the other end. This is just a clearance planter. I got it at Lowe's. I think it was dirt cheap. Look how big that is. It was so cheap. I just stuck it up here for some extra color. This is that other one that I was talking about called Silver Arrow. That has the very subtle variegation. You can see with more light, you can see it better. But I love the variegation on it. I wish that it was a bit more prominent. But I do really like it. Man, there's a lot of weeds up here. I don't come up here that often, so I need to grab my gloves and come in and pick some of these out. Alocasia, Borneo Giants. Threw those in the ground about a month ago. And they're just now starting to put out some big leaves. You know, you plant up an alocasia, they tend to throw a bit of a tantrum. They'll drop some foliage and sit around for a while, and then when the heat rolls in, they'll just explode and grow. So I'm expecting these, hopefully by the end of the summertime, to be, I'd say, a good 8 to 10 feet tall with leaves that are at least 5 feet from tip to sinus. These get huge. Overwintered them in the grow space last year. They did wonderfully. I have more alpinias over here. I don't know if I called those alpinias before. Those are zingibers, the silver arrow and the white. What did I call them? Well, those are cold hardy. These, not so much. This one, well, they're cupped up because the sun's on them right now, but they're looking good. This one right here is my special one that I overwintered in the grow space. It's just my favorite one I've ever had because it puts out these gigantic leaves. Look at the size of the leaf on this. It's just probably a 2.5 foot tall stem with massive, giant paddle-like leaves. And they have pretty good variegation on them. I love this one. It's been so good. And it was a trooper in the grow space. That thing overwintered so easily. I know it doesn't look amazing, but alpinias can be a royal pain in the butt to keep alive during the wintertime. I just set it on the floor of the grow space and watered it maybe twice. Otherwise, I just said, hey, it's going to get water from underneath because it was at the end of the row. So it's near the garage door. So when you water plants over there, the water moves that way. So they would get water that was moving underneath them. They weren't getting much light at all because I really just wanted them to hang out and try and chill. It's easier to let them be semi-dormant during the wintertime than to keep them growing actively. And it really did well with that. The only thing that I'm not thrilled about is that this pot is continuously always full of weeds. Yeah, there's just tons and tons of weeds in there. Camera overheated. Came inside. Time to say goodbye. That's the end of part 1. You getting those cookies, Pumpkin? Nice breakfast cookies. Yeah, hey, thanks for hanging out. Comment down below what's been going on in your gardens. Having a lot of fun out here this year. Everything's looking great. This is by far the best this garden has ever looked this time of year. We're in August, September territory as far as growth and appearances and cleanliness goes out here. Normally it's just a disaster all summer long. Then sometime around September I get everything picked up and looking great. But nah, not this year. Everything's just looking good. Yeah, hey, I hope everybody's doing well, having a great day, a great life, and everything's just going absolutely beautifully for you all. Poor guy. It had stakes under its feet. Keeps popping out and falling over. All right, as always, and most importantly, everybody, keep on growing. Bye-bye.